We wanted to begin with the film in slow motion so that way it was more dramatic, and the difference between the Christmas setting and the fighting was clear. We used a close-up of Carly to show how upset she was, as well as Annie. We wanted the sequence to end with the snow globe falling off of the mantle so that way it would lead the viewer to ask what happened. Next you see that it was Rebecca who was daydreaming and imagining the slow motion fight scene. We included the pictures of Leah dead on the floor so that way we wouldn't have to film the actual scene where the snow globe falls on her because we figured that would be difficult. We made sure to show different angles of her, including the snow globe, so that way it was clear what happened. We wanted it to seem like it's a crime scene investigator who took the pictures. In the interrogation room, there are a lot of shadows to make everything seem more suspicious. We used a lot of natural lighting in this scene so that way it was very bright and cheery. We wanted it to be bright and cheery so that way it would convey a mood of happiness. I tried to start every interrogation scene with a high-angle shot so that way the person being interrogated looked small and powerless. That represented how they were a suspect and the person interviewing them was in charge. As it became clear that the person being interrogated was not the culprit, it would become more of a normal shot. So here you can see that Natalie is on the same level as Olivia, which shows that she's just giving information now and she's not a suspect. We used the vertigo shot when Hillary realizes that she didn't get a present. It shows that she just made a big revelation and that her world is changing. Aaron filmed it by dollying forward while zooming out with the camera. I think it turned very well considering the fact that we did not have an actual dolly. We filmed the scene without a tripod to make it seem more hectic. We also made the panning and zooming more aggressive to make it seem more hectic. We wanted the scene where Leah falls to have the present in the foreground, which represents how it was the present's fault that she died. We wanted the transition between the past and the present to be noticeable so that the viewer was clear on what part they were watching. We ended up using two detectives so that way we could have dialogue between the two to help explain what was going on. We used conventions from mystery films as well as film noir. One example is the fact that one character seems like the culprit, but it ends up being someone else. Also, in the interrogation scenes, we used a dark room with harsh lights, which is typical in film noir. We challenged conventions by not making the culprit the character that is least likely, which was Hillary. We also challenged conventions by making it a comedic mystery in the way that the whole situation is ridiculous. I wanted when Hillary sat down to be dramatic since they had just been saying that it might be her in the clip before. Once again, the shots used are high angle so that way she looks small and not too powerful. We also used a lot of different shots, music, and made it fast-paced so that way the audience was engaged. For software, we used Final Cut Pro 10. It was very helpful when editing the audio and the visuals. We try to make each transition between shots seamless, such as when the door starts closing and then you hear it finally close in the next scene. Also, when the laughing starts in one scene and then ends in the next. We had to add in the bell in Final Cut because we didn't have a bell at our use. For hardware, we used a Canon EOS 5D Mark III DSLR. We used different lights also to set the mood in the interrogation room. That scene is from a high angle to make Carly look small because she is considering doing something bad. We wanted to represent the social issue of underrepresentation of women in film by having an all-female cast and crew. We also represented the social issue of how stressful college applications are since the stress causes Rebecca to frame Leah. The audio cut out here, so we had to have Hillary explaining what was happening instead of the natural sounds. We decided to film this in front of a black background so that way as we zoomed in, all you could see was the character's face, which showed that the case was becoming clear to them because all you could see was their face. We also wanted to zoom in to show how they were getting closer and closer to solving it. We didn't want it to be seen who was the culprit right away, so we showed only her hand and feet as she sat down. We also drew out the clips to make it more suspenseful. I used high-angle shots once again to make Rebecca look small and not as powerful because she is finally realizing that she's about to be caught. We also decided to use background music in this sequence because we wanted to make it more dramatic. We chose the music because it is foreboding and also builds. The music starts to get a little more hectic here as it shows that what she was reading was actually a rejection letter from Vanderbilt. We used a close-up to convey the sad emotion she was feeling. Online, we used WordPress to create the website for our project. Our film engages with the audience by creating a mystery that can be solved by the audience. If you go back and rewatch it, you can see that it was Rebecca who did it. I used a low-angle shot here to make Carly look powerful because she was in the process of framing Leah for what she did, which ended up in Leah dying. I made Aaron take up most of this shot in this scene so that way Carly looked small. Then we decided to just show Rebecca looking upset while Aaron walked away and closed the door. The door closing represents that the case is closed. The cursive font reminded us of Christmas, and that is what we were trying to convey. We also used a red and white color scheme to create a sense of branding. Along with the red and white shown in our titling, we also used it in our website and on our postcard. Our film would be shown at a film festival, and the postcards would be passed out there to promote it. The website would also be another way for people to learn about our film and market it.